Thank you. Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much, Katie. I just called her Katie. Caitlin, sorry. I didn't mean to do that. It's easy to do. Again, I'm Liz.
And I'm Katie.
And we'll be teaching you the program today. This course, you'll learn some basic cooking techniques, such as recipe reading, measuring, basic knife skills, and it'll make your home cooking much more fun and rewarding.
Go to next slide.
Next slide, please.
All right, so we'll practice a variety of ways to increase your daily physical activity, my forte, and we'll share smart cooking or smart shopping tips to help you save money in your food on your food budget. And when you cook at home, you control the ingredients, which can lead to healthier eating.
Next slide, please. Okay, today's content, we'll go over the MyPlate food groups, serving sizes, how to add more vegetables to your meals, how to prepare your kitchen for cooking, make soup practice, recipe reading, and measuring and knife skills, and increasing physical activity and action planning. Yay! And the next slide shows the dates of our classes. Some of you have signed up for the first 3 classes, March, April, and May, or is it through June? Correct me if I'm wrong, Caitlin. Okay, so for the first 4 classes. So you'll need to register again for the July, August, and September when that opens up. Also, if you only registered for tonight's class, please make sure you register for April, May, and June's classes. All right, your turn.
All right, so our goals for cooking as a snap is obviously eat more fruits and vegetables, increase our confidence to plan and prepare meals at home, which is going to be beneficial for me because my husband cooks and I don't. And then to at least move 30 minutes a day most days of the week. So 30 minutes a day is about 150 minutes for the week. And I know we'll talk about it later, I'm sure, but you can always break that 30 minutes up into smaller increments, like 10 minutes, 3 times a day. So you don't have that 30 minutes.
Wonderful. And today's cooking demo is going to be on Tuscan white bean sausage and kale soup. That is a mouthful, but as some of you have shared already that you've prepared this soup ahead of time, it is a mouthful and it makes a lot. So we are going to go over the steps of cooking before we cook. So right now, even though it talks, we talk like we're going to start, we're just going to talk about it a little bit more first. So we're going to get started. What is the very first thing you need to do, Katie? What's the first thing we need to do when we get started cooking?
Well, oh, I thought it popped up. Sorry.
Okay.
Wash our hands.
Wash our hands, yes. And start by clean and clear counters and run a sink full of soapy dishwater so it's ready to go. Awesome.
I don't think we'll forget to wash our hands after the year we've had.
Exactly, exactly. So the next slide is a French term. If you could go to the next slide. Yes, very good, thank you. Okay, this is mise en place. It looks like mice and place. Pronounced mise en place, it's a French phrase and it means to put things in their place. So I always say mise en place, mise en place. And at my house, my kids know what that means. So everything has to be in its place before we even start preparing a meal. So if it's not cleaned up from the last one, I won't start cooking in my house. Especially when I get home from work.
Yes.
All right. So the first step is to plan your work. That means you read your recipe through.
Make sure you have your ingredients.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know how many times I've started something and I have to stop and go to the store. And I'm a baker, I don't cook. So when I'm baking, it's only like once or twice a year. I think I have it and I don't. So then I get really frustrated with myself. So be prepared.
You also want to make sure you have enough time. It will tell you the total time for prep and cook time. So you want to pay attention to those. And of course, Katie already mentioned listing your ingredients, make sure you have them in your pantry, and then the directions and tips in case you need some special tools or you need to have some direction on how to use those tools. All right, the next step is prioritizing your work. So what order you'll be doing your work in. For example, if we're going to rinse and chop our vegetables first, or we're going to cut, fry, or drain the sausage, or if we're going to saute vegetables in oil and assemble the soup.
So we want to make sure we have all of our tools to be cooking our delicious soup. And with being on Zoom, everything is completely different for us. So we're fortunate to have a 1-pan skillet. I don't know what you can see.
I was just going to say, can they see us? Can you see us? Okay, all right, good.
I was like, I'm not sure what you can see. I'm moving back and forth and talking with my hands. So we have our awesome little skillet here. We have some tools. We have like a little kitchen in a box, which was nice to be able to bring here, and some bowls. And good thing we prepped this ahead of time because, like I said, we'd be scrambling at the last minute. So make sure you got all your stuff. If you're at home, it's easier. But when you're bringing it to a class, you really got to be prepared.
Yes. And the next one, step 4. Oh, Caitlin, can you move the slides ahead to step 4? Sorry, I forgot. We were going to do that. Oh, perfect. Step 4. We collect all the ingredients for the recipe. So we already knew that we had it when we did our plan of work. And so now is when we get it all out, we set it out, so we're ready to start. Step 5, we need to prep the ingredients. Thank you, Caitlin. So we're going to prep them, such as washing the fruits and vegetables and measure what you need. And I know some of you, when you were coming in a little bit early before the class started, we are encouraging you to get your vegetables washed so you're ready to start chopping.
Yep.
Katie?
And we are like big planners, obviously. You have to be for class, but you want to set up your workstation too. So we're via Zoom right now. So we set up our little workstation to make sure you guys can see our beautiful setup we have. So making sure you have all your vegetables, fruit, or whatever you're making prepped. We have our meat, our seasonings and whatnot. It's all here ready for us. And stay in your kitchen. Just make sure it's nearby. And like you said, you have everything.
All right. So now that we've gone over the 6 steps of setting up, the last one was setting up your workstation. Now we're ready to get that recipe out. Yes, thank you, Caitlin. So I can look right there. I don't have to look down with that little box. This is awesome. All right. So you should have received all of this in your kit. If you did not, I sent out an email with the recipe in advance. So hopefully you all have this. If you do not, you can do this at a later date. And we're going to start by reading. We have our olive oil. We want to show them what we have. And we have
fancy olive oil.
We also have a large onion that we started to cut up ahead of time so that we would have enough time.
I feel like Vanna White right now, you guys.
We have 3 medium carrots, and we have one that isn't chopped yet. So
I've got everything to show you how to chop. I've got one of each.
We have 3 cloves of garlic.
I'm gonna hold this.
Yeah. Oh, there's a, yes, very good. Yes, we have that, and you should have received that in a little bag. And then we have a can of diced tomatoes. Yes, very good. And we have 6 to 8 cups of unsalted or low sodium chicken broth. Some of you did receive. Okay. Some of you did receive beef because they did not have enough at Super One. And the recipe that I put together this morning, I used half beef and half chicken, and it was delicious. So you can use that, or you could use a vegetable stock if you didn't want to use meat. The next thing we need is fresh kale. And the fresh kale is beautifully stemmed and chopped. We also have 2 15-ounce cans of white beans. You can use any beans with this recipe. It doesn't even have to be white beans. I chose, which ones did I choose?
You have
the ones that say white beans and they say navy beans. I also like the canali ones that are more like you find in the soup if you go to like Olive Garden. Yes, those are good too. We also have a bay leaf.
Where's our bay leaf?
Oh,
yep.
We have a bay leaf. And then we have ground sage. Yes. And then we have our 1 pound of bulk Italian ground turkey sausage. Of course, you could use pork sausage, or you could just leave the meat out completely. It's your choice. This is your meal that you're making. We also have it suggested to salt and pepper to taste, but just so you know in advance, I don't add any salt or pepper to this recipe, and it's delicious the way it is. And then we do have some grated Parmesan cheese to top it off before we eat it.
I love cheese, so.
Yes, I do too. So if you would go to the directions page, the next one, perfect. So we're gonna leave this one up for a while we start. In a soup pot, we're using the skillet. In a soup pot, you would lightly brown the sausage until it's cooked through. And it says to move to a paper towel covered plate to drain. I'm just gonna tell you right now, this is so lean. I did not drain it at all. So what I did is I got the meat going, but I also went to the next step. In the same skillet, I added the oil and the onions and the carrots together. So you can do it how you like. So we're gonna start with the first ingredient of getting the sausage in. Do you want me to put the sausage in?
Sure.
And then you can start chopping.
Yep.
I'll get the sausage going, and then Katie is going to show you how to
Chop
way to
vegetables.
safely chop vegetables by using certain ways of holding your hand.
Oh boy, yeah, I'm gonna do the best I can here, guys, because like I said, my husband is the chef. He worked in a restaurant for a long time. So I don't cut myself, I'm doing good. I'm pretty proud of myself if I do that.
So onions.
Onions.
Yes.
I didn't cry with these, so that's good.
I don't know how she did it.
I
don't know.
I'm gonna credit the glasses at this point, because when my husband cuts onions at home and we have a separate door. If it's open, I'm like, my eyes, and I start crying and I'm not even close to him. So I don't know.
I kind of think the mask helped with the onions.
It was just, So anyway, this was a little choppier onions. They're not as finely diced, but I took a whole onion and I cut it in half. I should have left it on, I forgot to. I cut the little sprout piece on top. Oops, and my middle's falling out. I want you to be able to see a little. So you Liz calls it a bear claw. You want to tuck your fingers in so you don't cut your fingers off. And you're gonna.
Can I interrupt for a second?
Yep.
Can everybody see what Katie's doing? Do I need to move anything? Okay, does she need to move a little closer? Like where the pan
Yeah, I'll
is?
stay a little closer because you're just kind of otherwise I can stop sharing the presentation and then
Yeah, sure, go ahead. That's fine. That's fine.
I'm gonna do my best, guys. That's all I've got to say about that.
And then you can make us bigger. All right, I'll need the.
Does that look great? Okay.
So like a little teeny bear claw. I'm looking and it's the wrong hand. It's freaking me out here. So I'm right-handed dominant, so I'm cutting with my right hand. Use like a nice size chopping knife. Like I said, I'm not a chef. So little bear claw, tuck those hands in, and you're gonna like cut. You don't want to use your arm. You want the knife to do all the work for you. So you want to make sure you have a sharp knife too. If it's dull, you have a better chance of kind of cutting yourself. And it gives me the heebie-jeebies when my husband sharpens knives too. It's like nails on a chalkboard for me, but it's also very satisfying at the same time. So just little cuts. This is weird not having people actually like help cut. Because normally we would break people up into groups and like have people do it. So actually demonstrating is a little nerve-wracking.
I'll be one of your people.
You're frying the meat, so you're doing good right now. So I cut it like this, and then I turned it, and I'm gonna cut it again so it's a little more diced. I feel like I'm on Chopped, you guys. Just watched like the meat chopped episode. That was a really good one. It was all about meat. Those guys are real fancy.
I am going to add a little bit of olive oil to the lean meat right now, just because it's drier than one with more fat. And if we set the smoke alarm off, be prepared for that, Caitlin. I don't measure olive oil. Olive oil is very good for you.
So our little chops, these are a thicker chop. If you're really fancy and have one of those slap chop things, those are really cool. You can always do that. You don't have to use a knife. I don't know if we have one. That'd be kind of cool.
I have to admit, I use mine, my Pampered Chef one.
Yeah, Pampered Chef, thank you. Especially if you don't want your eyes to cry. So,
Katie and Liz, Tammy was wondering about, I know people who had meal kits, they got the container of kale kind of ready to go. Do they use the container or?
Yes, you will use the whole container. It looks like a lot, but it isn't. It all cooks down. I actually, I'll show you the finished product that I had made from this morning. You can hardly tell how much kale is in there, and I use all of it.
Yeah, kale shrinks pretty good.
It's like spinach, if you use spinach in cooking.
So then same with the carrots, you just kind of slice. If you don't like them super thick, and if you have one, you can be super fancy and have a mandolin. But those are super dangerous. Don't use them unless you're skilled. I've cut myself many a times with a mandolin.
There's directions on them.
But they're a nice tool to use to get, because if I was on chopped, I'd get chopped because my chops aren't even.
Can you see the meat browning? Can you see the meat browning?
I can see the meat.
Okay, it's taking.
There looks like there is some color change. Yes, I can see it.
Yes, and so the oil, if I hadn't put the oil in there, it's just too dry.
And then as I'm getting to the thicker part of the carrot, when I slice them, I'll just cut them in half again so they're not like giant coins of carrots. If you like that, that's fine. You do you. Okay. Get nervous.
I'm gonna ask Katie to hand me the onions so we can get the onions in.
Sorry.
And I like to add the onions to the meat.
Okay, and then this was a new skill I learned today. What did you call it?
Oh, well, the spine on the kale, you don't want that in there. And so if you lay your kale on the cutting board, like you're gonna fillet a fish, and you're gonna cut out the spine.
So you fold it in half, kind of like a taco.
Yes.
And I'm grabbing a littler knife. Okay if you smush it. And then you just literally like cut, if you can kind of see that. Once you fold it, you're gonna cut right along the edge. If it's not perfect, that's fine. I'm not judging anyone because like I said, I'm not a chef.
It tells you to put the carrots and onions in at the same time because it takes a little longer for those carrots to get soft enough to eat. You will continue simmering these in the oil until the onions are translucent. They'll look like they're more like, you can see the light through them in the oil. They definitely change their look.
So I took the spine off the kale and then I'm gonna chop them up into smaller pieces. If you like a bigger piece of kale, you don't have to. If you don't want to chop, you could tear it if you really wanted to. But I just kind of roll it up and then same kind of motion, just down and out. Little bear claw hands, the best you can.
I am going to add a little bit more olive oil because I can tell it looks a little dry.
Beautiful.
So, if you want to talk about some of those MyPlate tips while we're waiting for this to cook a little bit.
Oh, let me mince garlic before I take my gloves off too.
Good idea.
I don't want to have to put on new gloves.
But we won't put it in until the onions are translucent.
Yep. So my garlic isn't as lightly minced as I hoped, but like I said, it's a learning process. If you already have minced garlic at home, like in the jar, go ahead and do that. If you like fresh garlic, cut it up yourself. So I kind of cut it up.
What do you do to clean the kale?
Say that again?
What do you do to clean the kale before you add it?
The kale?
Clean it.
Oh, we washed it and yours was pre-washed.
Yep.
And we pre-washed all of our vegetables before class today to save time.
Yep.
But we run our kale under cold water and only, one leaf at a time.
Make sure the dirt's off.
Yeah.
If there's dirt. Okay, so I cut the little garlic clove in half, and then you're gonna mince it. So just little teeny bits. Again, a little bear claw. A little daunting, but then it's little pieces. Shoo, 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 shoo. I cut all the way through, but there we go. Little pretty little garlic. I love garlic. I'm Italian too, so garlic is a staple in the household.
Now, we only gave you the 3 cloves, but if you were making this, you can add as much as you like or as little as you like. I personally double it.
To taste. Okay, so how's everyone's stuff going? If you're cooking along, we're doing good. Thumbs up. I don't know if there's a hand raise button on Zoom
I think there is.
or thumbs up on Zoom. I don't know. We're doing good. Yay, there's thumbs ups. Yeah.
Thanks, Laura.
Woohoo.
Ooh, thanks, Noah. Thanks,
Okay, so we could switch back to the MyPlate in our presentation, right?
Yes, you can go ahead.
So Kaylin, you want to switch
Yeah, go ahead. Yes.
back to the presentation, and then it's the MyPlate one.
Okay, you don't have that recipe card.
Yeah. Yep. So here is our MyPlate. We want our half our plates fruits and veggies. As you can see, our pretty little red fruits, our green veggies, and then quarter of our plate whole grains. So that's like wild rice, whole grain with like wheat bread, pasta, tortillas,
Pizza crust.
yeah, pizza crust. So you guys, I can't see anyone, but I'm assuming you guys have probably seen the MyPlate before. I don't know how it'll work, but thumbs up if you can. I believe you. And I've seen you guys enough in other classes to know I've talked about this before. So the USDA MyPlate graphic illustrates what the guidelines are for the Americans. This is 2015, but I think they just updated it. And I got to get on to reading that too. But it's super similar. Half your plate fruits and veggies. Lean protein, greens, dairy. If you can't have dairy, we've got our dairy alternatives like soy milk, almond milk, coconut milk. I think goat cheese though is lactose free. If I'm wrong, someone let me know.
These are looking translucent now, Katie.
Alrighty.
So could you please add the garlic? If yours is translucent, now would be the time to add your garlic. Oh, yeah, I'll just use the garlic. Yeah.
I was gonna grab a knife and be not safe. So the goal is, the goal is to increase our fruits and vegetable consumption, lowering added sugars. So if what you can get is fruit in a can, shoot for the stuff that's in whole, 100% juice. Or if they don't have any of that and it's in syrup, put it in a strainer and rinse it out.
Yeah, don't the heavy syrup or light syrup.
Yep.
If you could just drain it.
Healthy eating patterns include consuming our foods and beverages in the appropriate amounts. So that's a big thing, even for me. Making sure everything is the appropriate size. That's why I try to eat off a smaller plate too.
Good. That's a good one.
Yep.
Portions. Real quick, the next step that we've got the garlic in there, I need to add the diced tomatoes.
Ooh. So we want to maintain a healthy body weight and reduce our risk of chronic disease. So like I said, doing that, increasing our fruits and veggies, limiting our added sugars, saturated fats, sodium intake, which is nice what Liz had said before. She didn't add any extra salt or pepper. and neither did someone else on here. I think it was Karen. So that's really good. And then we want to increase our physical activity. So like I said, the goal is to get 150 minutes a week. So that's about 30 minutes, 5 days a week. I know we're all on mute and I've already said this, so never mind. I'm talking about tips on how much our plate needs to be fruits and vegetables and all that, but I've already mentioned it.
Okay, just real quick, we
Yep.
did that. We're doing this for about 2 to 3 minutes with the tomatoes, and then we'll be adding the broth. If you could hand me the broth, please.
Broth.
Thank you. Right. So as I said, some of you got beef and some of you got chicken. And then you got 2 smaller ones that equal the amount for the recipe. They didn't have any left because I bought them out. So I had to buy this one larger one. So I'm gonna add all of mine into this one.
Alrighty.
It's about 2 cups less than what you received, but that's okay because we don't have a big pot for this demonstration. And it fits really nice in the skillet. We can hear the temperature went
Yeah,
down.
we just go.
Can you hear the food cooking? It was so loud to me.
No, it seems super loud for us. I hope it's not too loud for you guys. So as we're still cooking, if you guys have already finished your soup like ahead of time, you can go ahead and try it and let us know how you are, but we're still cooking ours. We're gonna talk some more about physical activity.
I need that leaf and I need the kale.
Ooh, bay leaves and kale.
So this is where it looks like there's too much. You just cover the whole top of this.
We don't eat the bay leaf, correct?
And you know what I didn't put in here? I forgot the seasoning, sage.
It happens. This is why we got.
And there's a measuring spoon over there.
Oh, yep.
And then this tells us to do, was it 1 teaspoon? This,
There it is.
1/2 teaspoon, and that's why I was checking.
Always double check your recipe. Boy, I check it like 1,000 times.
And I'm gonna put it in here in the broth and I'm gonna stir it around. I don't want to put it on top of the kale now that I put the kale in. This is what not to do.
All right, so while Liz is doing that, I'm going to talk some more about physical activity. So healthy eating and physical activity go super hand in hand. I can tell you, you cannot run or exercise, whatever it is, a bad diet, because guess what? It's COVID and I'm struggling too. So physical activity is essential for health. Inactivity is just as bad as smoking, which is crazy to think about. But if you sit still, you don't use it, you lose it. And I've already talked about, I'm already spilling the beans. I'm supposed to ask you guys how many minutes of physical activity you're supposed to get a day. Oh, here's our MyPlate. I forgot all about that part.
Thank you.
I've talked about this, so I think we're doing okay.
You're doing great.
Um,
Katie's doing great. Everybody give her a thumbs up or a clap.
I didn't say this, so if anyone wants to jump in, you want most days, like I said, 30 minutes, most days of moderate or vigorous physical activity each week. So can you tell the difference between a moderate and vigorous physical activity? You can mention it in the chat. If someone is bold enough to unmute themselves, let me know.
Well, let's give an example. I'm standing here and I'm waiting for this to cook. I'm going to just kind of like go for a walk in place. And I can talk while I'm doing this. What would that be, Katie?
That would be moderate. Ding, 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 ding.
Moderate, yes. So if this is about the level of the exercise you're getting, it would be considered moderate.
So, and 2 is called the talk test, sing test. So moderate, if you're walking, or even if you're in really great shape and can jog and hold a conversation, well, that is a moderate. That looks so pretty. Sorry, I'm looking at the soup and it's gorgeous.
It is. The color is beautiful. I'm going to put the bay leaf in now. We just let that soak in there. We're not going to eat it. You do remove it after the end of the recipe.
So if you're walking, you know, if you, like I said, if you're jogging and you're in pretty good shape, I'm not there yet, but you can talk, you know, you're doing a moderate amount of work. Your heart rate's increased and so is your breathing, but you're doing, you know, you're still in that zone of, you know, getting a good workout. I mean, all workouts good workout, right? Now during vigorous activity, your heart rate is crazy. You're breathing really hard. And for my example, me and my daughter yesterday were running, jogging, and she wanted to race. Oh boy.
Oh, does that get my heart pumping?
That turned into a vigorous exercise because I was super sweaty and I was like, okay, you win, I'm done. I couldn't talk very well. It was like 1 or 2 words at a time. So you can choose, you know, a couple days a week is moderate, a couple days a week is vigorous activity, but I want you guys to do you. Don't overdo it, make it challenging for you. And also, I don't want you to get hurt when you exercise. So start out slow and slowly work your way up.
Just want to mention that we're bringing the soup now back to a boil, and then we're going to turn it down a little. We're going to reduce the heat and simmer it for about 30 minutes. So that should be almost exactly at the end of the class that we should be able to eat it.
Oh my gosh, it's already after 6. Holy buckets. So do you guys, Caitlin, you want to put it on everybody? I'm going to make everyone do a thumbs up or a thumbs down or nothing. Do you guys get physical activity during the week? Dean, you better thumbs up there. There you go. Right. Chasing kids counts as physical activity too. Yay.
Awesome.
Awesome. Yay, buddy. There's this clap. Yay.
Feel free to put your camera on and show us what your soup is starting to look like if you want to share.
If you want.
If you want.
So like
Can
I
you
said,
guys hear me?
hi Joyce.
Hi, Joyce, you got on.
I finally fixed it.
So like I was saying, in the very beginning, you want 30 minutes of exercise 5 days a week. And I've said this a billion times already and I'm sick of hearing it, but you're going to hear it again. If you don't have a straight 30 minutes to do exercise, you can break that up into 15-minute intervals, or 3 10-minute intervals, or you can even break it up into that 5-minute interval. I can't talk anymore. I'm talking too much.
I have a question.
Yes.
What about like if you go to the grocery store and you purposely park further away?
Ooh, that's a good way to get extra physical activity in.
Okay, I have another grocery store tip.
Let's hear it.
You know how you plan out your shopping list and you do it aisle by aisle? I'm OCD about that. I put everything. I start at the back. It has to be the back. And so I know what I'm going to go to next. I don't miss anything on my list. Well, I learned in one of these classes that it's okay to just have your list and then bebop all over the store so that you're getting your steps in.
That's a good one because I'm similar. Like I have my system. I hate going back to if I miss a place, but if I forget, now I got to remember it's extra steps throughout the day.
Even when you get home with your groceries, I'm guilty of trying to do this. Oh, let's do this. Okay, I take this too. All right, I can get one more. I can get one more.
I'm the same way. It's bad.
But it takes more energy to go back and forth and take the one bag at a time. Yep. And bring it into the house so that you don't have to save steps because you're not saving the steps that you need to use. So it's really not doing you a favor.
Yeah, and you could get hurt. So I don't want you guys to get hurt either.
Exactly.
Especially in winter time.
Hard on my back.
Yeah.
Do that.
Because I'm gonna tell you a story. I have a puppy now, and the kids were outside, and there was ice, and I totally biffed it. And thank God it was nighttime because nobody saw me, but I slipped on the ice. So I'm glad. Hopefully, knock on wood, we're almost done with winter for the year.
Ouch.
I got a nice little knuckle scuff. My coworker thought I was in a fight. I'm like, nope, I just fell. All righty, so that's it for about, our physical activity. And once you get used to it, you can always add more. Like if you're walking, and you've done it for, let's say, a month, and you're like, okay, I'm ready to take it to the next step. I am a big weightlifter, body weight stuff, yoga. I've really gotten to yoga during COVID. So you can always add something on to that cardio portion of your exercise. Yoga is really great. I'm gonna keep covering yoga. It's good for your mental health and your flexibility. I can't do the splits yet, but we're getting there. All right, how are we doing on our soup?
I just checked mine and it's just starting to really go to a nice simmer. So it's going to take a while for those carrots to cook down and be soft, for that kale to get nice and soft. But we'll continue to monitor it.
And we have our other one. We pre-cooked some too, so we get to try it.
Yes. And one thing that's nice about this is you can put it on low and you can have it later. You can put it in your crock pot after you started this. So it can sit in there on low for hours, right?
Yes.
I
All
have
right,
enough for the whole building.
Well, that's good, Joyce.
This
You're
recipe,
rocking.
Appreciate that, Joyce.
yes, the recipe makes 8 servings. And those servings are based on 1.5 cup size serving. So we will do that when we serve it.
All right, we still got time. So we got our one more activity. So goal setting. Who has done goal setting before? For anything. It doesn't have to be fitness,
Be for work,
whatever.
live.
I'm gonna like quadruple hand because I seem to do it every week. So goal setting, obviously we're going to talk about this throughout the whole course, but it's a way to make positive long-term and lasting changes in healthy eating, physical activity habits, or like I said, anything. I'm trying to be a crafter and I've been lazy because I haven't set goals for my crafting either. And like I said, I've seen some of you guys raise your hands for setting goals. Anyone want to say how goal setting has been?
I will.
All right, Karen, go ahead.
Yeah, I set goals and I have a big chalkboard in my kitchen. It's about 3 feet by 4 feet.
Nice.
And then I make like this boxes, like 7 days a week boxes, and I have like 3 months worth of little boxes on my chalkboard. And then I have 3 different colors chalk. And if I do my stretches, I get a pink dot. If I do my, like just small exercise, nothing big, then I get my green dot. And if I drink my really nasty, it's not a smoothie, it's full of weird stuff. If I drink that, then I get another dot. So at the end of the week, I tally it up to see how many times I got all 3 dots.
Great idea.
Yeah, so it works out because it's a visual and I can see it for
Yep.
approximately 3 months long, and I know it's color coded, so nobody has to know what I'm doing. And just
Yeah.
So Karen has taken this to the next level. That's
Yes.
awesome, Karen. Caitlin, can you share some of the what people are putting in the chat? Has anybody shared any of their goal setting?
Yeah, we had Tammy jump in and say that her goal was no coffee and didn't quite get there, but she's down to 3 cups a day.
That's pretty. Okay, so I'm taking your extra cups because when I work from home, I think our coffee pot's always going.
Oh, yum.
It's so good. Anyone else with goals? Oops.
What about, anybody want to share what their soup looks like? Who's cooking? Can you give us a hands up wave if you're cooking right now? Who's actually
Mine's-
doing this live? All right. Where are you at?
Oh,
In the
Jamie,
process.
that's so pretty.
Oh, thank you. Now all that, you see that on Jamie's, that's all gonna cook down, even though it looks like just a big
Oh,
fluff.
good
of
job,
green.
I can see it there. it is,
Tammy's,
Tammy.
oh, it's so colorful and beautiful.
Nice.
Wonderful.
It smells good too.
Can you smell it, Joyce?
You still doing TV?
I didn't put that leaf in there.
Oh, and it's up to you. Remember, whenever you're doing any recipe, you are your own in charge. You're your own chef in charge. So what about?
Do you guys want the leaf back?
No,
Oh my
no.
gosh, Joyce, stop. You haven't changed and I haven't seen you in like a year for group.
So if Katie has any other tips, then we can go back and talk about what people's favorite or worst tips were at the end.
Oh yeah, so just quick for goal setting too. Last thing, you want them to be SMART goals. So SMART is an acronym for what did it say?
Somebody was cooking with their kids, they said.
Oh, fun. Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time sensitive. So you want to say, I'm going to lose 50 pounds in a month. I'm like, that is just absolutely not going to work. So you want to make little goals like, I'm just going to go with weight loss. Ooh, that's looking good. You know, if you're looking to lose weight, realistically, it's 1 to 2 pounds a week of weight loss. If you want to add more fruits and vegetables, just add stuff that you know, you can absolutely try different kinds of fruits or vegetables, but make sure they're, you know, they can be in season. So it's not costing an arm and a leg. And if it's, let's say you just like apples, go ahead and eat the apples. As long as you're getting them in, an apple a day keeps the doctor away, right?
We just said that at our house yesterday.
Oh, funny. So, you know, just make it simple, make it something you like, because if you don't want to do it, you don't like to do it, you're not going to do it. I'm sure I've said that. I'm sure Joyce has probably heard me say this, but my husband is not a gym person. God, do I wish he was, but he's not. I tried to make him go to the gym once, and it was the biggest mistake I've ever done in my life. His physical activity is playing basketball or, you know, playing softball in the summer or volleyball in the summer. He does it, he likes it, and he gets in better shape during the summer for it. So you pick a goal, pick something that you like to do. Because like I said, you won't do it if you don't like to do it.
Right. Make it realistic and something that you can achieve.
Yep.
Yes, Karen?
I wanted to say something about the goal setting.
Yep.
I did some research on this. I can't remember where, probably a TED Talk. And they said that, like, let's say, for instance, you want to do your side bends, okay? And you should do, when you first start something like an exercise program, allow yourself to do the minimal amount that you can get away with for starting it. Like, say, for example, I told myself, okay, I have to do 10 a day, which is really nothing. But if you start off with just that 10 a day, gradually, you know, you're going to increase that. But the cool thing about it is, you're not really feeling that, I don't want to do this. This is too much. It's going to take too much time. You're really not feeling that. And yet with the 10, the simple 10, you're accomplishing it. For another example would be like, you have to go outside and walk for 1 minute. That's it. So if people have problems like starting something new, a goal that they're setting, starting it with a minimal amount that you could really get away with to say you actually did it, that really helps things move along. Because you're naturally going to increase that because you're actually spending time doing that, and it will naturally increase.
Yep, and it just gets easier. So yeah, I'm a personal trainer, and my dad always complains about not getting in shape, and I'm like, I can't make you do anything you don't want to do. So if you want to do it, you know where to find me. You got my number. So whenever, you know, you got to be in that mindset too, to want to get healthy and get in shape, or, you know, whatever kind of thing it is. So if you want, like, I'm going to keep saying, if you want to do it, you're going to do it.
Right. All right.
Katie.
So that we don't run out of time.
Who said my name?
Who said Katie's
Katie.
name?
Joyce.
Katie. I'm going to come in to the defense of Alex because he's an awesome teacher.
I know he's an awesome teacher. I'm not saying he's not. I just wish he'd go to the gym with me.
So that we can keep on track here, I'm going to change the subject to the next one. We would like to hear what some of those tips were in the beginning. So if they were in the chat, if you could read them to us, Caitlin.
Yes, I can. Give me 1 second to scroll. Okay, we had one from Jamie. Worst cooking tip, cooking chicken in the microwave. That sounds pretty brutal, but yeah, just take the time to do it in the oven, she says.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
And Tammy, Billy's teacher, gave him an apple crisp recipe and it came out really bad, runny and watery. But best tip is must be Tammy's Family Stone Soup. Just put in whatever you have. We love it.
Look what I found.
I have the beans for a Tuscan bean soup, so don't forget that.
Oh, there we go.
Good thing they're already cooked.
Oh my God.
And then we had Tara, when I was first diagnosed with celiac disease, making gluten-free was really hard. It always came out undercooked and flat. I feel that struggle.
Yes.
It's too far away from me. It's not safe. Oh, that looks better.
Looking like soup.
Can you see how beautiful that is? Oh. All right. So as we're getting towards the end, I would like to ask if you would like to share what you might, any cooking tips you learned today that you think that you might like to try.
And we'll have a time for some more questions if folks have them.
Yes, exactly.
Feel free to unmute yourself or just put it in the chat and I can ask Liz and Katie.
Where's the chat at?
Joyce, why don't you just talk?
Joyce, are you on your phone or are you on the computer down the
Well,
hall?
I don't know. Everything disappeared now.
Okay. It's a little hard on the phone, but it should be at the bottom. I can show you next time I see you if you can't figure it out today.
Look at this.
Well,
That is hot.
I don't know what I did. Messed up.
That's okay, Joyce.
Hey, I'm old. I get a break.
Well, duh.
Always.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Joyce, you're just on. Just ask a question. Or make a comment.
Well, I think mine needs to boil down. It needs to boil down a little bit.
Yes, yes, and it does take longer. It's hard to do it in this hour. I am going to scoop up some of the soup that I had made first thing this morning. I've had it on the crock pot on low most of the day and warm. My crock pot has a thermostat that's high. So even if I have it on warm, it starts to bubble and boil. So I let this cool off for a little bit, but I'm not sure if you can see this, but the kale has cooked down. And I used way more kale in mine this morning than in the recipe because I had bought not only the packages for you to take home for your kits, I bought the fresh stuff in the big bunches that I have no idea how much there is, which shows you that it can be whatever you want to put in it. So however much of whatever vegetable you like.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, Erica.
I like to know the nutrients in the kale. For example, the kale that I'm using in this soup, how much calcium and protein is in that soup that
Put me
coming
on
just
the
from
spot.
kale.
No, I'm just kidding.
The recipe does say on it what it.
So the whole serving, so the serving size for the soup is 1.5 cups. It is in your packet, but it is 303 calories, 9.1 grams of total fat, 2 grams of saturated fat, and that will probably vary for whatever meat you're using too. Cholesterol is 38.1 milligrams.
Yep.
Sodium is 749.9 milligrams. Our total carbohydrates are 34.4 grams. Dietary fiber is 6.9 grams. Total sugar is 4.5 grams, and protein is 22.3 grams. And like I said, I am a meat eater, so I would probably add extra meat to mine. So it varies on how much protein you're putting in, or how much meat you're putting in. But you've got your beans, and if you're not a meat eater and you just put beans are a good source of protein. So you can put more beans in there. It's really up to you. It doesn't have the breakdown.
That was a good question though.
No, it doesn't have the breakdown of like calcium though. So that's kind of.
Is a protein in kale?
think so. I should know this, shouldn't I?
We can look that up.
I can look it
Hey
up.
Siri, is there protein in kale?
And calcium.
There must be.
Let's see if I'll Google it.
All right, so if,
You're telling us, Erica. I know you're a huge fan of kale and growing kale.
so I have also added on top the Parmesan cheese for Katie and I did one without for Caitlin. Unless you want some, but I couldn't remember if you could have it.
I have a, oh, sorry.
You have a question?
I have a book that
Oh,
talks about-
Jamie, you're a lifesaver.
Keep it going.
okay, so kale in this book, it says major nutrients is per 3.5 ounces of kale. There is 3.3 grams of protein.
There
Along
is,
with
that's
it, along with 2 grams of fiber. Doesn't that seem like a lot? Oh, sorry, we're having a meltdown.
oh, you're fine. I get it.
What happened?
Jamie's kiddo is upset right now.
Any other questions that aren't so hard?
Yeah, Erica, what the heck? Putting us on the spot.
Sorry.
Aren't you the vegetable gal? You should know this. I'm just teasing.
It said my video is stopped.
Uh-oh. You might
do
have
I do?
froze.
Well,
Oh.
that
Your internet might not be the best.
But I can hear you guys, so that's okay.
It happens. Oh, it's hot in here.
all right, so I see that a few of you have been eating your soup.
Did it
You
turn
want to
out
share how it turned out? Here, Katie and I have ours here.
good? Yeah, I gotta try mine here. Oh, it's tripped.
Thanks for reminding me about the beans, Katie.
You're welcome. Yum.
Tell me, would you make this recipe again?
Yep,
You can do thumbs up or,
I would. If my kids would eat it, that's another thing. I don't know. I was just telling my grandparents that we have class and this is what we're doing, so now I gotta get them the recipe.
great. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming today. We really appreciate it. We're so excited that we were able to bring this to you with the Gitigaan program and SNAP Ed and SHIP. Caitlin, did you have anything you want to share about the upcoming classes?
Nothing too much, but we, Gitigaan classes continue next week. Oop, let me go back. With invasive plant species. And I know a lot of you had just signed up for the full series, so you're good to go. But if folks will need to register, there's the link for that there. What else? And then, yeah, next Cooking is a SNAP class is the second Tuesday of next month. Do you have the recipe all picked out, Liz?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Are we going to share what it is, or is it going to be a surprise?
Go ahead
up
and
to you.
share.
Share it.
Oh, I think we should keep you in suspense.
Yeah, I like to. I haven't gotten to be mean to Joyce in a long time.
Keep you coming back for more.
I think we should thank Opichi for coming in from East Lake.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were a few names I don't think I knew, so that's pretty cool. We had people that I didn't know, so that's exciting.
Well, we want to respect your time. The class is supposed to be done, but I know that Caitlin said that she would be willing to keep, I think, the Zoom open for a while.
Yeah, if people want to chat, they're welcome to.
Do we
and then I
have
know
to
I-
make out a one of those pieces of paper again?
Not until the end of the series in September.
Oh,
But
okay. then.
we do appreciate, Katie and I both appreciate you filling out the surveys, evaluations today, because that is what pays for our job. If we don't have those, we wouldn't be here.
Right. And Joyce, you've done paperwork like this before, so it's been a whole year
Yes.
since you've had to do it. It's nothing new.
Oh, I mean the survey that we had to make out online last time.
Yeah,
I didn't make a survey for this class because I knew that